Found in tropical regions across the Americas, Africa, Asia, and Australia, there are 13 known different species of crocodile.
Wait for it!
And they come in all shapes and sizes. Some, however, as a result of genetics and a bountiful supply of food, grow to be supersized. And these deadly carnivores can be some of the deadliest creatures on the planet, from man-eaters to shark-eaters. These are the 15 largest crocodiles in the world. Like this video, smash the subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now, or Slender Man will come from under your bed when you're sleeping. Number 15. As big as a car. In 2016, a Floridian farmer and his friends were searching for hogs on their ranch when they came across far more than they had bargained for. Lurking within the swamp near Okeechobee was a giant alligator, and to prevent it from eating their livestock, they hunted it down. The images of this alligator are unbelievable. The farmer reported that it was 15 feet long and weighed around 780 pounds, which would make it by far the largest alligator to have ever been found in the region. The previous record holder was a foot shorter and more than 100 pounds lighter, which has led some to question the validity behind this new beast. Has a trick of the camera been used to make it look bigger than it actually is? It's possible this could be an optical illusion, but most experts believe it to be true. The image of it hanging from a tractor next to the farmer's son gives a good indication of the true size of this monster, and it's long been suspected that alligators far in excess of 15 feet are present in the Everglades. With changing weather conditions and increasing food sources, this could just be the first in a series of supersized gators that will become commonplace across the region. Number 14. Tawi Tawi crocodile. In September of 2017, a fisherman was casting his nets off the coast of Tawi Tawi Island in the Philippines when he saw what appeared to be a giant log floating in the water. When he got closer, however, it began to move, and he realized it was, in fact, a giant 19-foot-long saltwater crocodile. He immediately warned the other fishermen in the area and notified barangay officials, and an operation was organized to capture the monster before it caused any damage. As a protected species in the region, killing it could have incurred a 100,000 pesos fine and a prison term of up to 6 years. So the alternative was to try and remove it and release it somewhere else. It took a large team of people to eventually bring the croc under control, despite its best efforts to fight them off. A number of boats and nets were damaged as it attempted to free itself, but they eventually managed to capture it. They brought it back to shore, and it was put in the care of the municipal government, who sent it to a reserve where it would be looked after and no longer pose a threat to the local communities. Number 13. Dragon without wings. Sometimes, despite being creatures that have adapted to live in water, crocodiles can find themselves stranded after taking the wrong direction. That's what happened in Sri Lanka in 2016 when a 17-foot-long croc that was estimated to weigh a ton swam from a river it lived in into a man-made canal. It became stuck there without a way to turn back or escape. And when locals discovered it, they realized they had only one option: to lift it out of the water and return it back to the river. But how do you go about moving a 1-ton monster like this that could cause serious injury with just one snap of its mouth? The answer was, of course, by taking a great deal of caution. With the assistance of a large team of people, they first tied the crocodile up with thick rope to ensure it couldn't make any quick movements, and it was then lifted by crane into the back of a truck. Pressure was applied on its head to prevent it from breaking free, and as you can see, it became quite docile while it was being held. Once the truck had driven to the river, the next step was to carefully place the crocodile back onto the ground and to release the constraints. The digger was then used to nudge it, and it finally disappeared back into the depths of the river. Number 12. Jaws 3. Opened in 1976, the Madras Crocodile Bank originally was meant to test the viability of crocodile farming, but soon became an ecological park dedicated to breeding and releasing the creatures back into the wild. When the law changed in the 90s, releasing the beast became untenable, so now it's a zoo that rears the animals to learn more about them, show them to the public, and as a conservation tool at a time when their numbers in the wild are falling. They now have more than 1,800 crocodiles, along with countless other species, but the one that's the most famous famous is known as Jaws 3. It's the largest crocodile that's kept in captivity in southern Asia, at more than 17 feet long and weighs over 1,100 pounds. It was born in 1970 and has spent its entire life on the islands of the park. At first, the keepers didn't know how dangerous saltwater crocs were because they were used to the more docile mugger crocodiles. But after Jaws 3 leapt from the water and bit one of them on the leg, they realized extra caution was needed. Surprisingly, there wasn't a Jaws or a Jaws 2 at the park though, and it's thought that this one was given the moniker because it was first put on display around the same time that the movie sequel was in theaters. Number 11. Pointe Noire Crocodile. Despite the dangers to human life that they pose, crocodiles are usually treated carefully in the regions where they live because local communities realize that they are an important part of the local ecosystem. Sometimes, though, they grow to such a size and are so ferocious that the decision has been taken to kill the animal, and that's what happened to this crocodile near the city of Pointe Noire in the Republic of Congo. It had been terrorizing locals and eating valuable livestock, and authorities had no place to send it, even if it was caught alive. The fear was that it would attack farmers or fishermen who tried to prevent it from eating their animals, so a team of expert wildlife hunters was sent out to deal with it. At an estimated 17 feet and 8 inches long and weighing well in excess of a ton, you can only imagine the kind of destruction this croc would have caused if it felt the need to do so. It was a Nile crocodile, which was a particularly aggressive species, and it took a whole afternoon before it was finally subdued. Its carcass was lifted on a truck and driven through the town to show the locals that the threat had been eliminated, and then, according to reports, its meat was served for dinner that night. Number 10. Gomek. Saltwater crocodiles are usually quite aggressive and can live to an astonishingly old age, but there was one that made people rethink the species. He became a celebrity in his own right. Known as Gomek, he had originally been captured in Papua New Guinea before being sold to an American couple as a pet. In 1985, they kept him for 5 years, but as he continued to grow, they sold him to the St. Augustine Alligator Farm Zoological Park in Florida. Here, he became a popular exhibit, and people would come from far and wide to see him. During the 8 years he was on display, he was astonishingly calm and behaved in the presence of people, and those that had the job of feeding him were allowed to get far closer to him than you would ever dare go to a crocodile. But there was never a single incident. At his largest, Gomek was measured at 17 feet and 9 inches long, with a weight of 1,896 pounds, making him an absolutely giant specimen. He finally died at the zoo in 1997, at the ripe old age of 80 years, meaning that he would have hatched during the First World War. Now, there's a permanent memorial to him at the park, and visitors today can see the new saltwater crocodiles there, Maximo and his mate Sydney. These ones aren't quite as friendly as Gomek was though, so the rangers don't get anywhere near as close. Number 9. Cassius. In 1984, boats on the Finniss River in Australia's Northern Territory were being repeatedly hassled by a crocodile. It was becoming such a problem that the authorities decided there was no choice but to capture the animal, and it was eventually given to the Marineland Crocodile Park on Green Island in Queensland. Because of his temperament, the crocodile was named Cassius after Cassius Clay, and when he first arrived at the zoo, he was 17 feet and 5 inches long. He continued to grow though, and by 2011, he was recognized as being the biggest crocodile in captivity in the world at more than 18 feet with a weight of 2,200 pounds. He lost the title briefly for a year before regaining it and is one of the zoo's most popular attractions due to fighting with other crocs. Cassius is missing the tip of his snout, his front left leg, and the tip of his tail, but there are very few things that are large enough to pose a serious threat to him. Amazingly, Cassius is estimated to be more than 110 years old and shows no sign of slowing down. Number 8. Pet croc is 17 feet. A crocodile probably isn't your go-to choice for a new pet, but for Matt Wright, who presents a show all about the reptiles for the National Geographic Channel, it makes perfect sense. During his career, he's caught crocs as large as 18 feet, but the one he keeps around his home is a more modest size, at just over 17 feet long. It's called Tripod because it's missing a leg, and he rescued it from a crocodile farm where it had spent all of its life. Due to its comfort around humans, it can never be let out into the wild. It would either struggle to survive because it's always been given the food it needs, or would scare anyone near the water because he'd just crawl up to them and hope they have something for him to eat. He now lives in Wright's backyard, and his particularly sedentary lifestyle means that he weighs more than a ton. For an animal of this size, he eats surprisingly little however. He's given a pig leg once or twice a week, and that's it. Still, despite its apparent calm demeanor, Tripod's owner and any visitors are always extremely careful around him. At heart, he's still a dangerous wild animal, and one wrong move, even if he thinks he's being playful, could spell disaster. Number 7. Super Croc. In 2011, residents of the southern Philippine village of Bunuan became increasingly frightened to go anywhere near the local river because of reports of a man-eating crocodile that lurked beneath the surface. At least 2 human and countless livestock deaths had been attributed to the creature, and the community had had enough. Crocodile hunter Rolly Sumiller was called in to handle the problem, and he, along with a team of dozens of villagers, went in search of it. It took a couple of weeks before they tracked down the giant, and a further afternoon before they were able to capture it. It was only then they realized how enormous the saltwater crocodile actually was. It measured to be 21 feet long, with a weight of 2,370 pounds. The beast was restrained and transported to a nearby nature park, where it became one of the main exhibits. But worryingly, Sumiller wasn't convinced that this was the one responsible for the deaths. He said that there had been multiple other crocodile sightings in the area, and that it was quite possible that there was another even larger one lurking in the water somewhere. Number 6. Yai. The Sumut Prakan Crocodile Farm and Zoo in Thailand allows visitors to see giant animals, as well as a number of other species, and put on daily shows where wranglers enter the crocodile pens and perform stunts, such as putting their heads inside their jaws. The zoo is home to more than 100,000 crocodiles, and claim that one of them, called the Yai, is the biggest one in the world to be kept in captivity, although because of her size, she's not involved in any shows, and is instead kept in a pen on her own to prevent any incidents with other crocs. According to the zoo, Yai, a saltwater crocodile, is 19 feet and 8 inches long and weighs 2,456 pounds, which would make it bigger than any other kept in a zoo like this, but it is yet to be confirmed by external experts. This is partly because the farm has become controversial in recent years because of the treatment of the animals in their care, and there have been numerous reports of the exploitation, abuse, and neglect of the crocodiles and an elephant that's also kept there. Number 5. Brutus. It's not often you see 2 alpha predators fighting one another, but a series of images that were taken in 2014 led to Brutus becoming one of the most famous crocodiles in the world. Thought to be 80 years old and weighing 2 tons, the 18-foot crocodile was seen in the Adelaide River in Australia's Northern Territory, with a bull shark caught in his jaws. The sharks are renowned for being highly aggressive and dangerous, but Brutus seemed to have made quick work of it, which showed just how deadly saltwater crocodiles can be. Other pictures of the same animal that were taken a few years earlier show it leaping out of the water for pieces of meat, and it has become a regular feature of crocodile boat tours along the river. You can see that Brutus is actually missing his front right leg, but this doesn't seem to have affected how powerful he is. You have to wonder though, what he'd be capable of if he hadn't lost his limb, something that presumably happened in a fight with another croc. Number 4. Dominator. The Adelaide River in Australia's Northern Territory is home to several giant crocs, but the one that's thought to be the boss of them all is known as Dominator, and he's believed to be at least 20 feet long. He is a saltwater crocodile and is often seen by wildlife boat tours as he scours the river searching for his next meal. He's quite used to humans and will perform in front of boats to try and earn an easy catch, but there have been some occasions when he's gotten a little too close for comfort. In 2018, he was filmed leaping high out of the water to try and get a piece of meat from a tour operator, and in 2019 was caught on camera attacking the other well-known crocodile in the river, Brutus. The two have had a long rivalry because their territories are so close to each other in the river, and by all accounts, Dominator is winning the battle. Brutus is often seen with fresh wounds and has a missing leg, and most people familiar with the crocs on the river are certain that Dominator is the only one big enough and vicious enough to be responsible. Number 3. Lolong. 2011 saw a number of large crocodiles descend upon Bunuan Creek in the Philippines, and in September of that year, authorities were forced to capture an absolutely giant specimen that had been attacking locals and livestock. It was suspected of killing a fisherman and a young girl, and for public safety, it had to be removed. It took 3 weeks to capture him, in the efforts of more than 100 people, but finally, after having escaped multiple times, they finally got him under control. The saltwater croc was sent to an ecotourism park in the area, and was named Lolong after one of the crocodile hunters who was involved in the capture. In November of that year, he was sedated and measured, and at 20 feet and 3 inches long, with a weight of 2,370 pounds, was found to be the largest crocodile ever to have been kept in captivity. He sadly didn't hold on to this title for very long, because just 3 years later, at an estimated age of 53, he died due to pneumonia and cardiac arrest. His skeleton was removed, his skin was taxidermied, and both are now on display at the Philippines Museum of Natural History. Number 2. Gustav. Gustav is a giant Nile crocodile that lives in the Ruzizi River in Burundi and is thought to be one of the deadliest crocodiles alive. More than 300 deaths have been attributed to the croc, and as a result, he's feared by locals and visitors alike. He's believed to be around 65 years old, is more than 20 feet long, and weighs upward of 2,000 pounds, but no one knows for sure because he's never been caught. There have been several attempts to remove him from the river, but he's been either too powerful or too clever to be captured in the traps that have been set for him. Due to his size, experts believe that he's unable to hunt the normal prey of fish or zebra and has to attack larger animals like hippos, wildebeest, and humans. It's because of this that he has wounds across his body, most noticeably 3 bullet scars, and evidence of a deep gash on his right shoulder. The last sighting of Gustav was in 2015, and local residents are hopeful that he's moved on somewhere else. You can never be sure though, and they all approach the water with extreme caution, just in case. Number 1. Bujang Senang. Large crocodiles have long become part of local legend, especially when they have been linked with attacks on humans, and there's perhaps none as legendary as Malaysia's Bujang Senang. Said to have originally been a human warrior, the myths tell of how he was killed at Senang River while trying to rescue his wife from kidnappers. They were both executed and thrown into the water, and a shaman used his magic to turn the warrior into a crocodile to get revenge on his enemies. Whatever its origins, the crocodile was most certainly real and was ferocious. It was responsible for a number of deaths, and in 1992, it ate a young Iban woman on the bank of the Palaban River. It was decided that enough was enough, and a hunting party went out to deal with the 20-foot crocodile once and for all. They slaughtered at least 20 crocs in their search for it, and finally found Bujang Senang. Following a battle that lasted many hours, the monster was finally killed, and its remains are now on display in the foyer of Zhang's Farm and Zoo in Siburan. What would you do if you ever encountered one of these giant crocodiles? And do you think they can grow to be any larger? Make sure to let us know in the comments section. Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on screen right now. See you next time!